we all have the ability to find one little thread that can be pulled on. And it might not change everything, but it will change something for somebody. And that's enough.
Welcome back to our podcast, The Zero Hunger Project. I'm your host, Sumen,
I'm Stacia.
and today we do not have a guest except each other.
I know.
And it's been little over half a year that we have been doing this podcast,
Hmm.
and we thought it's a great idea to have a conversation and see how it's going, what we are doing, some of the highlights that we learned,
Hmm.
and some of the things we need to do in the next half year.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, I have so many thoughts. What do I think? Oh my God. First of all, this has been an exceptional opportunity for me to participate in this conversation. It is not an area of social justice, for example, that I've had a lot of exposure to. So I'm really grateful to you for including me in this process and allowing me to meet such phenomenal people who are really moving the needle on a whole lot of fronts. And not just about food insecurity, but about basic decency and really their humanity is on display. And being around people like that is a gift. And I consider you one of those people. I think we don't talk enough about the work that you're actually doing here and in other places. I mean, I you just need to Google Suman's name. He's won like every award you could possibly get this year, particularly about just
Yes.
basically being a good guy and going out in the world and doing what you can to make things better. So I first of all want to say thank you for being
And
here.
thanks for saying that. And we are highly pleased and honored to have you here because the lens that you bring to this conversation, we wouldn't have had if you were not here. And that's important.
I appreciate you saying that.
That's important because, yes, I can talk food security, I can talk hunger.
Mm,
Most of our guests, that is what they know and
mhm,
talk about
mhm,
really well
mhm,
and are doing phenomenal. But the aspect that you bring, it is very important because I think more than food security, it is being the human side
mhm.
is what you bring to the table.
Thank you.
So I think this is for me personally, and I'm sure for our viewers, this works really well.
Yeah, I mean, I that was gonna be my first question is how do you think it's all going? I
Yeah.
mean, when you first came up with this whole concept and we talked about doing a podcast, I just wanted to check in with you and see how you thought everything was going. When we first sat down to start talking about this podcast, we didn't really have I mean, you had an idea of how you wanted it to go, but we didn't know who was gonna say yes. We didn't know how I was gonna get from Ottawa to Toronto, like, ho any of those
No.
things. It was just sort of an idea, and it's really turned into this incredibly for me, incredibly valuable conversation and tapping into this really efficient network of people that are doing things all over the world. And it's I've used the word badass a lot. There's a badass coterie of guests that we've had on this
Totally.
podcast doing incredible stuff. And to be able to shine a spotlight on that, I mean, even if we don't accomplish anything else, just be able to do that is great.
Yeah, I think we are accomplishing already.
Yeah.
We are accomplishing already because I hear when I travel, I hear people talk about it
Yeah.
by saying, "Oh, I did not know that this is a problem that's happening here.
Yeah.
We are facing the same thing."
Yeah.
And learning from each other, making those connections,
Mhm.
I think that is working. And that was the whole intention
Yeah.
that we can't stay in silos. We can't
No.
work in silos because we'll never get to where we want to get to.
And the whole point about change is that you have to disseminate information before any change can happen. And to your point, if we're all sitting around thinking everything's fine in our own little plot of land in the world, we're not going to change anything.
No.
The fact that this is happening and now, our guests have now become part of their own network and can connect with each other. When I get these connection requests from our guests on LinkedIn, I now see that they're connected to other people. And maybe they
In your
were
network.
before
Yeah.
because I don't I'm the outsider here, right? So maybe you guys all know each other, but I find that fascinating. And I have learned an extraordinary amount. I mean, I will say in this regard, I'm a social justice generalist at this point. I don't really have a lot of expertise in this area at all, but the things about social justice, those themes can be applied to any
100%.
topic, right? So
100%.
the stuff that I've learned has been fantastic and horrible, like
I
everything
was
in
about to say
between,
that.
right? And And there are things that will haunt me forever that I've learned about this. There are things that have galvanized me into action. Like, for example, we've talked to a lot of people in Northern Canada, and I've now made connections with people in Northern Canada, people who know each other or run in the same circles as the guests that we've had. I've had clients of my own now who've come to me through
That's
this,
amazing.
and I'm going to start doing something that I can do in Nunavut and places like that, because these are the catalysts for change. This is how this stuff starts. It's, oh,
Absolutely.
I didn't know that before. Now I do know it, and I can't ever not know it. So I better do something
So what are you
about it.
doing about it? Exactly.
Yeah,
So what are you doing about it? And that I think is a valuable lesson
yeah,
for all our audience.
yeah.
Is you've heard guests speak, you heard us speak. Just like us, I'm sure a lot of you had an eye-opening
There had to have
tidbits
been one
or your
in one of the
eye-opening.
podcasts that blew
There's
your
much
brain,
more. Like
right?
even in the last podcast, I was filled with stuff that I had no idea
I
about.
know.
So I'm sure there is a lot. But the question that you just talked about is the key.
Yeah,
Listening and then going to bed thinking, oh, my world is all good,
yeah.
is not what it is all about. What
No,
are you doing about it? And you don't need to move mountains.
nope.
You don't need to move
You
mountains
don't
by
have to
any
do
shape or form.
everything, but you do have to do something.
Something.
I
And
really
even how little it
I
is.
really subscribe to the notion that, all of that stuff, with great power comes great responsibility. For me, it's if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. And that has
100%.
been one of the fundamental tenets of my life. If you have the ability to affect change, it is then your responsibility to do so. And once I get that in my brain, then it's pretty much that's it. That's the path I'm on. And I have a way of bringing people along with me when I do that stuff. I convince people through the sheer force of my own conviction that this is a good idea and it's right and just and true and needs to happen. And
Absolutely.
that's part of the reason why I love being part of this podcast, is because we are able to act as conduits for the information and for the general public so that they can then galvanize themselves and be like, oh, I mean, I get that somebody needs help over here. That's not really my lane, but this super is of super interest to me, or it affects me personally, or whatever your thing is. I don't care. At
No,
the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whatever the thing is that motivates you to do something. And
do
there
it.
are tons and tons and tons of things to be done. So I find sometimes I get consumed when we have these conversations. I talk a lot about Russian nesting dolls or problems inside of problems inside of problems. It's very easy to get stuck in that place where you're like, oh my God, I can't there are too many things that are screwed up here, and I can't tease them apart. And that is true. These two things can exist at the same time. That is true. What is also true is we all have the ability to find one little thread that can be pulled on, right? And it might not change everything, but it will change something for somebody, and that's enough.
100%. And I think the theme of our conversation so far, and I'm hoping it's going to continue for the rest of the year as
Yeah.
well, is it's not only the band-aids,
No.
it is the systemic
Yeah.
solutions and the systemic responsibility that we all have, and we all can.
Yep.
In most of the countries where we are watching this from, everybody has the right to vote.
Yep.
I'm saying most, not all.
Yeah.
But most of the people have the right to vote, and you can vote with your actual vote. You can vote with your pocketbook.
Mhm.
You can vote every way for and ask for that change. These are the least you can do.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard.
And I mean, honestly, you're doing it anyway,
Yeah,
right? These are things I hope that you're doing anyway. So if you can just weave in the thought behind it as being not just like what's going to serve me, but what's going to serve me and maybe my neighbor, what's going to serve me and the people who don't have people advocating for them. I mean, that's my role that I see in my politics and my life and my education and my work that I do on my own, and this work is that I have a platform, I have a voice. I am not easily intimidated. I don't have trouble talking to people I don't know or going to places I've never been and whatever. And so that's my privilege. And I need to leverage that in order to
100%.
help as many people as possible. For me, that's not a big deal. For other people, they're like, absolutely not. So that's fine. You're going to vote anyway. I know you are. So vote in a way that affects change, not just for you, but for other people.
100%. And that is something that we struggled as an organization,
Yeah.
that when we talk about community, what is the definition of our community?
Yeah.
We are here to serve our community.
Yeah.
Is our community just Scarborough?
Yeah.
Is our community GTA? Is our community Canada? The way I say it is our community is anybody in the world who is going to bed hungry today. That's my community.
Yeah.
And that's our community. And that is who we need to stand up for.
And your scope is broad and your platform is big,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you've been to places all over the world in the last little while, and that's not even hyperbole. Like you literally have been around people in all kinds of different places in different countries
Absolutely.
doing the work. And you went to the UN, you're going to FAO. Like there's lots of stuff that's happening where you actually have a big platform. If that feels too big for people, then do something smaller, right?
100%.
The whole goal of all of this is the same thing that I've repeated like a broken record, which is the difference between aid and development. Are you here to help in the short term, which is great and required, or are you here to help in the long term? It's
Yes.
whatever, we'll take it. Whatever it is, whatever
It's all
you,
important.
yeah, whatever you have the bandwidth to give or donate or help or assist or whatever, we'll take it. Um, but the goal is obviously that we want these communities autonomy restored, like given to begin with. Um, we want there to be an infrastructure in place that is self sustainable, that is culturally appropriate and relevant. We want there to be sovereignty in what it is that people are doing and respect and dignity, right? So
Absolutely.
there are a litany of ways that the average person can contribute to that.
100%. And living in a world where polarization is a part of life, and
Yeah.
by day to day, it's getting more and more polarized.
Hmm.
I think all our responsibilities, and especially everybody listening and looking at this podcast,
Yeah.
is to figure out how we can all work together for a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that is the only solution. It is not, we are not going to get out of this by pointing fingers.
No.
We are not going to get out of this by fighting and putting labels on people.
And
We're not going to do that.
we're not going to get out of this by expecting the people that are suffering to solve their own problems. That's
Exactly.
a huge part of I see in what's going on in these discourses that we're having. It's sort of this whole notion of bootstrapping, right? Well, these people they don't even have boots. So asking them to bootstrap is
No,
impossible. We have already made these marginalized populations the way that they are, right? Because most of these places have been
100%.
colonized or however you want to look at it. Now we've doubled down on them by making it their responsibility to make us feel better about the fact that they're oppressed. I've said these things before.
Yes,
You'll
you're
hear me
right.
say it over and over again. I'm never going to stop saying it.
Yeah,
So it's the responsibility of the people who have the privilege to help the people that don't have the privilege because the people that don't have the privilege are just trying to get by. It's not their job, right?
totally. And we hear in Canada, we hear in many developed countries who are suffering within
Yep.
our countries.
Yep.
And the conversation is, oh, why aren't you helping us but going out and helping other countries?
Right.
We hear that all the time.
Yep.
And my perspective, and I don't know, it might be different from yours. My perspective, it's not either or. Let me take a very recent example from I think a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
In Bangladesh, there was a huge civil unrest,
Mhm.
um, huge issue. And what happened was we had in Toronto, in Scarborough, we had a huge influx of refugees coming from Bangladesh.
Mhm.
So, one, making life here in Scarborough difficult for original Scarborough residents who
Yep.
have been here,
Yep.
because now we have so many new people who do not have resources to support themselves
Or language
or
or
language or anything,
yep.
jobs,
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
So, housing
Yep.
is a huge challenge. So, if we really as a country supported Bangladesh earlier
Yeah.
and supported them to make life better
Yeah.
for the folks there,
Yeah.
then these folks didn't have to come all the way here, unroot their house, their
Yep.
families, everything in a foreign land for survival.
And to your point, if you're the type of person that is irritated by the fact that, we want to help a country like Bangladesh, first of all, gross. And second of all, it will solve your problem to Suman's point if we help them in their own
In their
countries.
own
They
countries,
won't ever come
exactly.
here and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Right?
Exactly.
That's not how the world works either, but okay. I mean, and again, this is my opinion. Um, but you know, it's so easy to say, well, they need to look after themselves and we need to look after ourselves. You're right. That is true. What is also true, because grown-ups can have equal and opposing feelings and views about things. That's how the world actually works, that
100%.
life is complicated and not everything is gonna go the way that you want it to go. And you can hold 2 emotions at the same time, and you can be happy that, you know, one thing happens and sad that something else happens. You can help somebody in another country and also help your own
100%.
citizenry. That is okay. Or you know what, help nobody and be part of the problem. That's also a vibe. It's not great. It's not what we're after. But I mean,
Absolutely. And as I said, I
you
spoke on the UN floors a
the
couple of
UN,
months ago,
United Nations.
and I made this comment which kind of stuck to many of my colleagues.
Mhm.
And I said that nobody has been able to build a wall that touches the sky.
Yeah.
So we are one world.
Yeah.
And if we don't really get that, we have a problem.
Well, and that's the sort of social media thing that went around for a long time that I really grabbed onto, which is don't build a bigger fence, build a longer table.
100%.
Right? I'm super into that idea.
Yeah.
Like, and also you have no idea what's going to happen moving forward. And the people that you're so resistant to help might be the people that end up actually helping you. Because that's how humanity works. So
Exactly.
you don't know that maybe there's something wrong with you physically, and that doctor who's coming over from Bangladesh, who's been handing out towels at the Y because he can't get a job, if we figure out how to give people accreditation for their education, he's gonna fix your heart problem. Like, you don't know,
Absolutely,
right?
100%. And the other thing which I want to talk about, because this was an eye opening thing for me, and I did not know this
Yeah.
till a couple of months ago. I was speaking to the ambassador from Costa Rica at the
Mhm.
UN, and I was chatting with him about his country and how it's working. And they're doing really good now.
Yeah.
Costa Rica is doing fantastic. Now they have just moved into the high income country.
Yeah, and they have no standing army.
That's exactly what I was getting to. And I was trying to figure out how did they get out of the hole that they were
Mhm.
20, 30, 35, I think, years ago.
Mhm.
And they don't
They
have
don't they
any
put it
investment
nope,
in
which means
arms.
all of their money goes into their infrastructure.
Exactly, which
Mhm.
boggled my
Mhm.
mind. And I asked him, and I kept on digging into him. Probably he's mad at me right now
I
because
doubt
I
it.
I bugged him so much on that. But it was a foreign idea for me
Mhm.
that a country has no defense system.
And think about where Costa Rica is located on the continent, right? They're
Exactly,
next to 2 countries that have been just like rife with strife
exactly.
over the course of the human history. And these people are like, we're good. We've
We're
got
good.
toucans and jaguars, and we don't need any of your
That's it.
nonsense here. We're fine.
But that's
And they are.
amazing.
I know it's
And they're
extraordinary.
investing all in people,
Yeah.
which is, and if Costa Rica can do it,
And not only that, but think about, I mean, because they don't have to pay for a military or anything like that, all of the tourism dollars from the people who are coming in to visit Costa Rica because it's such a magnificent country go directly into social services and
absolutely,
humanitarian work and all kinds of stuff. So the money that's pouring in, rightly so, to this country is actually being allocated to places that genuinely need it. And and because that money's coming in, they don't have the same kind of problems that other people
100%.
do. So it's a real model.
It's an eye opening.
Yeah, Costa Rica is a again, I'm gonna use the word badass. Costa Rica is a badass country.
It
Like,
is. And I'm very fortunate in a month or so, we will be in Qatar and Doha at the World Social Development Summit.
yeah,
And we are very fortunate. We're going to host a side event ourselves.
yeah,
And we are very fortunate to have a minister from Costa Rica,
yeah,
minister from Finland,
yeah,
a minister or an ambassador from Sierra Leone
mhm,
to be participants in that panel.
yeah.
And I'm so waiting. And if you're watching this episode before our Qatar days, I am going to come to you to talk more about this idea, Costa Rica, because this world needs to know this more and more and
Yeah,
more.
and I don't think the average person does know it. And
No,
it's interesting that you've picked those 3 countries because all 3 of those countries are doing really revolutionary things inside of their own borders. I
100%,
mean, Sierra Leone has done a lot of it with both hands tied behind their back, but they're still doing it, right? I mean,
100%.
there is a war-torn country if there's ever
And
been one.
and they have a very high food insecurity.
Yeah,
And right now, the government is trying their level best to work on the agri-food system
yeah,
to combat that piece.
yeah,
It is not easy.
yeah,
Knowing where it is geographically,
yeah.
it is not easy.
Yeah.
but they're working on it.
Yeah.
And as I said in one of the episodes, I was just in Africa at the Africa Food System Summit in Senegal,
Yeah.
and there is so many organizations and farmers from Sierra Leone there,
Hmm.
and to see what they're doing, it was eye opening.
Yeah.
There's so much that I learned on what people are working on
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot
Fantastic.
of people. Here's the takeaway for me on this, just as an average listener of my own podcast, which seems lame, but there's a lot of stuff to learn. Is that there are a lot of people out in the world and they're doing incredible things. They're doing incredible things. And some of them are doing it on a wing and a prayer, but it's not stopping them. They don't seem to get subsumed by the the hugeness of the problem,
No,
which is for me the part where I would get lost, I think, a little bit. And I mean, maybe you don't. Maybe when you're in the trenches, you're like, look, I know this is shit, but I'm gonna do something about it. Do you know what I mean? And that seems to be because I've asked our guests, I'm like, how do you not get lost in the misery of all of this? And they're like, man, I can't. I can't
no,
afford
you
to.
can't afford to. But I think most of our guests who's doing the kind of work you're talking about,
Yeah,
in my opinion, they know that they can't change the world right off the bat,
yeah,
but they know that that little bit they can do
yeah.
is going to change the
And
world
they
eventually.
and I think the other thing is too that I'm talking about all of these things in the abstract and they're doing boots on the ground work, right? So there's the strategy behind all of this, which may seem a little sort of like ephemeral versus their tactical, like I'm doing the work, but there's got to be some like crying in the shower, I
100%.
would think, honestly,
100%.
right?
Like even for us sitting here in
Oh yeah,
Scarborough, there are days when we hear stories from some of our clients,
yeah,
and I sit back in my office and just close that door and shake my head
yeah,
and said, wow, like
yeah,
this is exactly why I wake up in the morning.
yep,
This is for who I wake up and I get out of bed
yeah,
and get in my car to drive just because of these people.
yeah.
And I think that's important because it's the faces, it's a
It's
real
vital.
human.
Yeah,
It is real human. And
yeah,
when you see a success story, then that makes you feel that this is exactly why we do what we do.
right.
Is this is why we see when they, for example, a newcomer, when they came into this country, where were they? And 6 months later, we helped them, not only just gave them food, we found helped them train, find jobs, and now they're working and they are coming and volunteering instead of coming in.
And that's and being clients, that's really
Exactly.
cool because you have the food hall thing, which I think is so incredible. And basically, for people who don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a template. You've created an opportunity for people to come and try out their restaurants, right?
Exactly.
In this place up in North York, and you go in and it looks like a food court, and there are different sort of stalls or
Yeah,
shops with people who have food, and then they can kind of cut their teeth and figure out everything before they
100%.
get
They go out and do their
which
own.
I gotta be honest, Simon, I mean, I think that is unbelievable, because when I was there, everybody that I met was a new Canadian.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
part of the is that part
That's
of
not a criteria,
No? Okay.
but it we prefer.
Sure.
But also our first cohort that went in last year,
Yeah.
each one of them were living in shelters. They were living in shelters, they were our clients, and now each one of them is doing really well, have settled in so well, and they keep on messaging. Even yesterday, somebody messaged by saying, I just got a job at U of T. Thank you, it is because of you guys. So
Come on now,
it is, I know.
right? Let's high five on that. That's dope.
Exactly. And this is why we wake up and do what we do.
Yeah.
It is so important. But yeah, it is. And this is something that I keep saying. If you're in Toronto,
Yeah.
a small thing that you can do, come to Food Hall TO, it's in North York on Yonge Street, and have a meal. That's how you support these people.
Yeah.
It's open to public. It's the least you can
And they're the
do.
loveliest people. So at the
Exactly.
very least, what's gonna happen to you if you do that is you're gonna get delicious food and you're gonna meet some really cool people.
And
Like,
hear their stories.
right. How bad is that?
Exactly. So there are many little things that anybody and everybody who's listening can do. And to somebody who's not in Toronto, I'm going to tell you, if this is an idea you like, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We'll be more than happy to help you set something like this up in your community
Mhm.
and make a difference in your community. We are here for that. That's our job.
Yeah. And I also really beseech people to tell us more about what you want to know about. Like, if this has lit a flame in you somewhere about something that you want to know more about, tell us. We'll find somebody. I just found a guy the other day when right, who we have a guest
We
who
are
wrote a
going to
book,
talk about him.
and I found him I found him online. He's written this very cool book, and I sent a text to Suman, and now we're interviewing him. So that's how it happens. Most people, if they're available, want to talk about their projects and what it is that they're doing. So if you've got something that you're doing, if there's some kind of initiative that you have that you want people to get eyes on, we will do that. Um, if you have questions that you want answered, please send us your questions. Right? I
And
mean,
from around the world. It's not
yeah,
only
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Canada, not only North
No,
America,
no.
from anywhere around the
And
world.
I wanna know. I wanna know all the cool stuff that people are doing. I wanna talk about it. Because believe me when I tell you, when this gets all turned off and I go back and people are like, "How are your podcast interviews?" I'm like, "Okay, get a snack and a drink, because I got some things I gotta tell you, and then I need you to go out and tell everybody else,"
Exactly.
which is how this is all gonna work. So you tell us,
Exactly.
and then we'll tell everybody else.
Exactly. So we're going to wrap this up as this was a great conversation.
Well, I just wanted to
We
take a
want to do a lot
temperature.
more.
Yeah, and just see if this is going the way you want it to be going, if you're happy with how it's all happening.
I think it's fantastic. I honestly, as you mentioned before, when we started, we came with an idea.
Mhm.
We didn't know details of execution, and it took a life on its own.
Yep.
It took a life on its own. We were very fortunate to have some amazing guests,
Mhm.
not only who's doing some cool work around the world, but decision makers.
Yes.
We had policymakers who are people from in power.
Yeah. And we
Even
had
then,
Ambassador Ray.
exactly.
Mhm.
We had the minister Skinnery from Finland.
Finland. Yep.
We had some amazing folks around the table.
Mhm.
The Senator Das
Yes.
from
Mona Das,
Washington.
badass Mona. Yeah,
Exactly.
she's a
So we had
force.
some amazing, amazing folks
Mhm.
who have been here. Kazuki from the
Mhm.
FAO
Love.
works with youth and women. So we had some amazing folks who are in the position of power.
Yeah.
And to see where their mind is and having those conversations, honestly, I wasn't expecting.
No?
I mean, in the beginning, I didn't know who we can attract as guests.
Knowing you the way that you know you weren't
I don't
expecting
know,
that?
but I also know
I
that some people will look at me and say, "Oh my God, I don't want to go anywhere near that guy."
I
I'm
don't
just
think that's
kidding.
true. And my mother has a great expression that it's not surprising, it's just amazing. And it's not
Fair enough.
surprising, it's just amazing.
Fair enough. I believe that, but it was. I'm very very pleased,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that you who's listening and watching to this feel the same way. And if you don't, let us know.
Yeah.
If you do, let us know
Yeah.
so we can continue our work
Mhm.
and do and move mountains.
Yes, absolutely.
This is amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we will be back for the next episode next week. And if you still haven't, feel free to pick up a copy of
Buy the
the
book.
book,
Mhm.
The Zero Hunger Project. There is a lot that you can learn. There's a lot of conversation points that you can have and see some amazing work and some not so amazing work that's happening around the world.
Well,
You
I
can learn
mean,
from all.
I think there are messages in there, all the way across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for next week, Zero Hunger Project, subscribe, follow, share.